That means come here.
Keep it going, keep going. So I have to say, for those who don't realize, this film began as a 4-minute sketch from 3P Comedy. And what were the challenges in just taking something that was so condensed, so dense with humor and jokes and observation, and then having to expand that to a feature? What were those challenges?
Well, I think we should start with the Dewayne and Tracy. They had to take this. If you gotta do yourself a favor. Don't look at the short on YouTube, whatever, Facebook. And but I'll let them talk because they were the architects of this.
Yeah. The struggles was, making it longer. You had to, create a whole story, make some characters with depth, make a lot more jokes, add a lot more scares. So literally, the workload.
Thank you, Dewayne. Yeah, I thought the sketch was brilliant, and I thought that it could be a really good feature. And I think the challenge is trying to deepen it and try to figure out a way into it and a way to sustain 2 hours. You were so high.
I was brought the idea of Brian Dobbins, who's in the audience somewhere. He and Charlotte Sumner, Brigitte, came to me with this idea, and then I watched the short, and of course I was able to sit down with Tracy and Dewayne. We went and pitched it to our partners in Marcy, and they said, go write a script. And then of course it took the geniuses over there a time to do it. I was never supposed to direct it, so I was a producer and figured, we'd find a director at some point. And I must admit, at some point, I was looking for something to jump into, and they said, literally, just, have you read the script lately? And I was like, no, I've read a draft, but it's been months. So I read the script, and I must admit, I just started laughing and just decided I would do it, because we just need laughter in this world now. So, and I just didn't want anybody else to fuck it up. So I just said, let's go and do it.
I'd love to hear from the cast about what your first impressions of the project were. Were any of you familiar with the sketch?
Yeah, it went viral. It was hilarious. Oh man, reading the script for the first time, I was like, this is insightful, it's original, it's funny as shit. I can't wait to play with all of these amazing people, and the magic that we had on set translated on the screen.
Oh, the chemistry is incredible.
Upsets from day one.
From anyone else, what were your impressions of the material? What was exciting you about the project?
It was really funny. Like she said, it went viral. So if any of you haven't had a chance to see what that sketch looked like, it was extremely funny. And I think one of the reasons why is because we know for so long that when it came to films that had Black people in it, horror films, we were always the first ones to die. And so this was such an interesting take on, if everybody's Black, who's dying first? You know what I mean?
Basically, apart from the beginning, you Scream 2 homage, but no one dies. Amazing Griffin, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's on purpose.
And at the same time, it feels like the film hasn't cheated any scares, it hasn't cheated the intensity. I think that's terrific. If you could raise the house lights, if there's any questions in the audience, I'd love to take some. Yeah, any questions right there?
I just wanted to know the casting process for this film.
So how did you find the cast?
The Professor. You know, it was the normal process. You start to, we got with the Daniels who cast the movie. We sat down, and myself and Brian and Tracy, and we just started thinking about, you know, who. And you just kind of go through this process of just seeing what was really fun for me is I wanted to find a lot of, you know, some young actors. I don't ever, you know, in my films, and sometimes I'll get one or two, you know, and so I said, let's look at, you know, who's like a little bit of an all-star team that we can put together. And so we just started checking out stuff, and some of them I knew, some of them I did not. But you just started to see, you know, at some point they just kind of show themselves. And, you know, we're doing everything over Zoom now, so it's really a little difficult to know whether the chemistry was going to work. But we just tried to find, we would have, you know, we did a couple of Zoom talks with most, and they just ended up being just this wonderful group of people that came together. And so that's
so many characters on screen at the same time. Everybody has a line. Everyone has, you know, a beat to get through. What was the preparation process, then the rehearsal process to
well,
get
that's
through?
a testament to these guys, because you know, when it comes to, especially in comedy, you know, not everybody, you come to scenes and not everybody has a line. And what's great about these guys is that they would kind of find things off of a line, and then of course if they said something, I would say something. Hey, what would you do this? You know, would you do this? I know there's the scene where they first meet the killer, and we started doing this. Dewayne saw something on the TV, and we did kind of like this relay, you know, to everybody. And that was just kind of like, some of the people didn't have lines in that scene, but it's like, how do we make everybody a part of it? And then they take, you know, my lead with it and give them the freedom to add their stuff, and and that's what was great about these guys. They just gave each other a chance to kind of add stuff.
Tim Story's a fucking legend, and we really love working with you.
Right over there. Oh, sorry, there's a question up there. Can we move upstairs?
I just wanted to know, what was the choice to keep that original sketch scene in the movie? Because I noticed it when you guys first got trapped in the crew.
Yeah, there's one scene in the film that is basically like the sketch.
Yes, purposely, the purpose was to show the expansion of that idea so that you can see the origin within the rebirth.
I have a question about the board game itself and the questions. How many questions did you come up with originally? Like, was it just you wrote the number of questions that work? I want to know the whole question.
People want to know the answers, so the next time we come out to the back. I got the blueprint. No, I got my pen on. Yeah, no, I can say it. I'm being dark skin, light skin, see, I know I knew that.
I love these people.
Sequel.
Expansion pack, expansion board game. I pointed to someone before we went to the balcony, but yes.
So you do put a lot of different movies, genres in the film, horror movies especially. To the director, is there somewhere in the movie you wanted to lean, or you wanted to cover all types of horror?
I mean, the question was balancing horror with the comedy, I suppose, right?
No, more like what horror movies did he inspired him to put into the movie?
Okay, so did you draw influences from other horror films that you
Well,
wanted in there?
I did, and I know this sounds funny, but I keep throwing it back to Dewayne and Tracy, because Dewayne is like this little encyclopedia of horror films. And I have my own that, you know, I grew up on, and, you know, slashers that we all know. I grew up on the, you know, Freddy and, you know, Friday the 13th and the normal. But I also go into aliens, and, you know, I go into a whole play. But Dewayne is like this kind of savant when it comes to horror films, so I've got to let him speak on it.
Oh, savant.
I'll never live that one down.
Me and Tracy both are lovers of horror, and as many references as you saw, we did as many as we could, because I think that speaks to kind of the theme of the film. Is like horror exists, and in watching horror, we absorb that, and in doing so, that allowed us to not die. in this movie.
Right there.
Tim, can you talk a little bit about balancing the action, comedy, and horror beats, all three of those genres simultaneously?
Well, it's funny. I kind of I grew up on '80s comedies, which were really R-rated movies, and so those films that I learned, and most of them, and as I studied them, I learned that they were dramas originally. Like when you find that Eddie Murphy wasn't supposed to be in Beverly Hills Cop, it was supposed to be this dark film, and then you put him in it and it becomes a comedy. So I've always approached it as just make the I guess the stakes work, whatever that is, whether it's action or whatever you're in. And then on top of that, if you just get great, actors like this who then, and another secret is, pretty much in any situation, a group of black people are funny. And because we're passionate about our opinion, whether we're right or wrong, we're passionate about it. And I use the word passionate as, we'll keep it at that. So, and our arguments, and it's really funny because I must admit, I try to replicate the arguments that my family used to have, my aunts, my uncles, and friends, and this and that. And I used to really just kind of almost record them. So I just find that when I put, great actors who are passionate about their opinions, like these guys here, once you put them in a room and you put a killer after them, it kind of writes itself, and it's just cutting back to them at the right time, and this and that. And really, when it comes to balancing that, I kind of go what is enjoyable, and when it, if it makes me laugh, then so far, it's kind of worked.
There was this really great moment that actually ties in all three when we were shooting it. This is totally Tim's idea, and clearly easily one of my favorite moments in the movie now, but when the killer comes back out and you see him after he gets stabbed in the foot, that's horror. And then the action is Tim goes, okay, so what's gonna happen is he's gonna shoot, and I want all you guys to be in a single line, and just dip. It's like choreography, right? Just one right after the other, and we did it. And then the arrow comes and gets Melvin. And I did not know that shit would be so funny the second time around. So good. And that was just a really great, seeing it, it's hilarious,
I dreamt on that story, so Melvin, who plays King, right? At some point, his character, we were playing with the idea of that character dying. And Melvin was like, fuck that. So then the idea became, okay, let's just hurt him as many times as possible. So that's kind of why he just keeps getting hurt and slapped and just
It's that black resilience.
Right there.
So for Tracy and Dewayne, you wrote these incredible characters. How did it feel the first time these amazing actors got together and embodied them, and you got to see those characters alive?
Amazing. I come from an improv and sketch background, and so in writing and then being on set in it, I kind of freed myself as the writer to be like, okay, I'm an actor now, and let me really stand in this role, and being able to be with my co-stars and be like, oh, this is them. These are not characters that I've created any longer. These are these people. So now I'm just going to act as if they are their characters. So that having that foundation allowed them the space to really take the character and make it what it was. So it was truly amazing, and I'm so grateful that we got them all.
I want to check if there's anyone up there, because it's very hard to see, but if there isn't, yes, go for it.
Two questions about the tool you use for the inner monologue. Who came up with that, and it's perfectly. Who came up with that?
Who came up with the inner monologue? When they have a shared telepathy.
Black telepathy.
Black telepathy.
Honestly, I think Dewayne, you brought it up first, and then I kept overusing it. I think that was the process. I think at some point we just thought it was a funny spades thing, because if anybody's a serious spades player, it's all about nonverbal communication. And you have to be in sync with your partner, and so that was kind of the genesis of it. And then I was like, I wonder if they can do that in the third act, and in the first act, and maybe once in the second act. Yeah, it became this thing because it was really, really funny. At some point we can talk about subtitles and stuff too. Yeah.
Is there anyone in the top balcony? Because I don't want to miss folks up there. But okay, I think I saw a hand over there. Go ahead.
How do you think you're gonna react when you see people walking around with those masks?
I mean, this is
I asked that question.
Excuse me. No, jump down. Question like that at the Blackening.
Studios is not going to produce it.
And you will not see that at Party City. Sir, I hope you be the girl from Frozen.
We're going to take a picture, guys. Good night, man. This family.